Okay, welcome to the Stellify podcast. And today I'm joined by Neil Bentley, an independent researcher who has spent over 2 decades investigating some of the deepest and most controversial questions around human history, scripture, and forgotten origins. Neil's work challenges the commonly accepted idea that our foundational myths and scriptures originated maybe in the Middle East, but were later inherited by the West. But instead, his research points to much further north and west, and that's Ireland and the British Isles itself as a primary source of ancient spiritual knowledge, cosmology, and what later became biblical and Mesopotamian narratives. Neil argues that most of what we know associated with Rome, Christianity, and even Sumerian myth was appropriated, reworked, and relocated, both geographically and symbolically, through conquest, empire, and control. Central to Neil's research is the idea that the so-called Anunnaki of Mesopotamia and the tribe of Dan of Irish law may not be separate mythologies at all. Is that right, Neil?
Very loosely, yes.
So we're going to get stuck into this because this is going to, for people that have been into the Anunnaki story, and
Sorry, I'm going to upset everybody.
It's all right. This is what we're here to do. These are deep dives. This is going to take people to another level that you maybe have not found before. Neil's, let's just say this research isn't the mainstream Anunnaki story. And I think this is really important for everyone because we should always ask questions. And this is why I think it's crucial that we have Neil on. And before we even get into this, Neil also explores the profound role of Sirius, and that's going to be really important in this conversation also, the so-called spiritual sun behind the sun, as a cosmic marker tied to floods, resets, and cyclical catastrophes that are often misunderstood or misrepresented in mainstream history. And then there's Saturn as well. I mean, we're going to go on and on and on, Neil, can't we? But let's get started anyway. How did you get into this, Neil? How did you get into this journey of research?
Well, in this particular line, I mean, I've always been asking stupid questions my entire life. And I put it down as research in 1997 when I got my first computer. But in 1997, I also died. Like 2 massive things happened in that year. I had a massive industrial accident in which I died. Didn't make a right good job of that though.
Wow.
And then got my first computer, and it was getting my first computer that just gave me the access to the information. And even now, I still look at a computer as being the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as being a communication tool or a game to play on. It's just knowledge. It's got more knowledge on it than the Library of Alexandria. So that was 97. So back then it was like JFK and the moon landings and shit like that. Then 2001 came along and straight away I was onto that. And just as these false flags, 7/7, Diana, what have you, they come along and you're studying all these different subjects. So while you're doing all those, I also found I was fascinated with ancient history. And obviously you start off with the Anunnaki and Mesopotamia, coming from Nibiru and mining for gold and creating humans, etc. And then you go down to India. I mean, the Anunnaki in Mesopotamia, white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You went down to India and you studied the Aryan invasion of India, and they've got white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, or red hair. And I was studying these people from all over the planet, from different time periods, and the description was exactly the same. Everywhere I went, all over the world, for 6,000 years, white skin, blonde hair or red hair, blue eyes, advanced knowledge, etc., etc. So you've got all this stuff going on in the back of your head, and you're just loading all these bits of information in. And it was about 2000, it was about 5-6 years ago, 2019, 2020, something like that. I came across one small fact, which just suddenly, the ground opened up below me. and I just fell into a chasm of rabbit holes. Honestly, just this one fact: R1b gene. The R1b gene creates white skin, red or blonde hair, green or brown eyes, green or hazel eyes.
Okay.
So you go, all right. And then I found out the R1b gene originates from Ireland. Very first found in Ireland, no one knows where from, no one knows why or where from. So you start digging down that hole.
Right.
And then you suddenly found out that the blue-eyed gene comes from Ireland. And apparently the blue-eyed gene only comes from one source, Adam type figure.
Yeah.
And we trace this back to 10,000 years ago. Blue eyes comes from Ireland, one source. Then I found out that Rh negative blood comes from Ireland.
Yeah.
Then I found out that the highest concentration of the giganticism gene is found in Dublin, I believe, but it's Ireland. So all these things were just then pointing me back to Ireland. And it was that kind of all of a sudden, one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly, I'm nuts deep in, I've got rabbit holes going on all over the place, but everything's coming together. It was like you'd found the key or a cipher, because everything I then tried fit automatically. And then I started with the words, because I listened to Conor McDowry, Irish Wisdom Preserved in the Bible and Pyramids. I'd recommend everyone start there.
Right.
And he was breaking words down. Atlantis, a compound of 3 Irish words, great land of knowledge. So then I started looking at words in a different way and breaking them down, because ancient Irish and ancient Hebrew are the same language. You've got 16 consonants and no vowels. So you go, well, that's weird. Then you find out that a bit later on that the Hebrews came from Hibernia. And they were under King Heber. The Hebrews from Hibernia were under Heber.
Wow.
So it was just one thing led to another. And then, like I said, because once you find the cipher, then you're looking all over the world, and the cipher is fitting all over the world. So, for example, if you went to South America, you've heard of Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, yeah.
The feathered serpent god. It starts with a QU, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you take off that QU and swap it for a K, Quetzal, starting with a K, Quetzal is Irish for cocoa.
Oh, wow.
Quetzalcoatl, Viracocha, and Kukulkan, the 3 main South American deities. Kukulkan and the Irish deity Cuchulainn. Cuckoo means cocoa. Lane means to the eye. So it means Cuchulainn or Kukulkan, or even Quetzalcoatl, means red to the eye. And there's 2 answers to that. Either because they had red hair, which is an obvious answer, because Rus means red hair, or I also know from the Sera people and the Dogons that they used to wear something called red ochre, which is a red clay, and they used to mix it with oil and put it on the skin to wear as a sun cream. Sun cream.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever seen the Irish sunbirds? They're going to want some sun cream if they're going down to South America. So apparently they used to wear this red ochre on the skin.
Right.
And if you took a look at South America, have you seen the pictures of the Rocket Man?
The Rocket Man? No.
Like a man, he's cut in stone, and it looks like a man sat in a rocket in South America. It's just proverbially called the Rocket Man.
Okay.
And everyone's, he's got rocket in South America, and he's got the star COVID. Well, that's Kukulkan. And Kukulkan, every time these are depicted, they've all got red skin. So Cuchulainn, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl all mean red to the eye. And that's in Irish.
Right. Interesting.
So let's say when you're finding these Irish words in all over the planet, everywhere I've looked, I've found remnants of Irish words. But I'd also say, you know the story of Babel? The Tower of Babel, and everyone spoke the same language, and then they broke it down and messed all the words up.
Yeah.
Well, because I keep finding these compounds of words, I don't think Babel was that long ago, to be honest.
Okay.
where they chop these words up. So an easy one is the 16 consonants, no vowels. So London, London. It's 2 words, Lun and dun. Well, we know from Atlantis, the word lan is land.
Mm-hmm.
Drop the A, so that's Lun. Atlantis, so Lun is land. So you look at the word, Lun, dun. So you got Lun, which we know is land.
Mm-hmm.
Dun is Dan. So Lun, dun, is the land of Dan.
Interesting.
So that's how I got into breaking words down and then finding out the meanings of them. Like Satan, say tan, the jackal. Sat, the mast. Say lem, the light. Once you know that say is the, if you ever see a say, sa anywhere,
mm-hmm.
then you know that's the. So then you look at the rest of the word and then do a translation with ancient Irish. And quite often the word will come up as something, like I say, with, well, I know definitely that Satan is the jackal.
Yeah.
Because if you look up the word tan, you've got tan, which is singular for jackal, and tannin, which is plural for jackal. You'll find them in the Bible. But then, did you ever hear, it was about 12 months ago when Joe Rogan was arguing that there were dragons in the Bible.
No, I've switched off from Joe Rogan.
Yeah, CIA. But I just heard one of these spats that were going on. Joe Rogan was arguing that there were dragons in the Bible.
Okay.
Well, I've just said the word tan, and tannin is jackal in the Bible. Well, weirdly, tam and tanim is dragons and serpents in the Bible.
Okay, right.
So dragons are mentioned in the Bible, but they're called tanims.
Interesting.
So that's how I got into breaking the words down. Everywhere I've gone, it's fit. So I think I said about 3 years ago, I think I said to someone, once you get up to your first 5,000 coincidences, when does it stop being a coincidence?
Well, this is it. So everything seems to be drawing to Ireland for you then, from the off then?
From the start. I know during the lockdown, quantum of conscience. Mass, yes. Quantum conscience. Yeah, he put a challenge out. He said, like, everyone's got all these theories with the Anunnaki and the Tartarians and all the rest of it. Can someone put a timeline together? I was like, oh, well, you're barking up my street here. I'll put you a timeline together. So basically, I did. And I put a timeline together of going back, starting 10,000 years ago after the Great Flood.
Right.
Before then, there's a lot of speculation. Or I've got 2 speculations. Did they come up from underground, which is what I personally believe? I think when Sirius came back and caused the Great Flood and the devastation on Earth, personally, I think we were that advanced and we knew how to work stone that well that we went and built all these underground cities to protect us from the devastation that the Sirius was going to cause us. And then when they say after the flood there was a third, was it a third of the fallen angels, a third of the watchers then came back to Earth?
Okay.
Well, I can fit that in and saying, right, a third of the people that went down and lived underground came back up to live up on the surface again. So you can have that, but it also, this Anunnaki and Nibiru thing fit in so well over and over and over again. I can't ignore it. So I start my work 10,000 years ago, because at that point, that's just after the Great Flood, and it's just after they had a mini ice age just after the last Great Flood.
Okay.
Now, before the Great Flood, the city of Atlantis was the eye of the Sahara in North Africa, behind the Atlas Mountains, like Plato said. After the Great Flood, the Atlantis was moved to the island of Ireland. If you look at the story of the Stonehenge, even the official story of the Stonehenge said that giants carried the Stonehenge from Africa to Ireland, and then King Arthur pinched them. That's why even the English say that's the story. So all this, they came from Wales and they came from Scotland. The official story is giants carried them from Africa to Ireland, and then King Arthur stole them. That's the official story of the Stonehenge. So I'm saying that the Stonehenge was a marker for Atlantis. And then after the Great Flood, I would also speculate that they were placed at Tara because that's the royal seat.
Right.
So if we start 10,000 years ago, when Ireland was Atlantis. Now, Ireland was Atlantis until 6,000 years ago. So it was only Atlantis for about 4,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get onto the reason why I know it was 6,000 years, just that specific time period a bit later. But we've heard all these names of all these different people, and they did call themselves different names depending on which part of the planet they were on, and even at what time they were in Ireland. So you can say the tribe of Dan, and everyone in Ireland will go the Tuatha De Danann.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that literally means the tribe of Dan. But they were only called the tribe of Dan or the Tuatha De Danann after they left Egypt 3,500 years ago, after the Exodus.
Right.
While they were still in Ireland, before they left, they were called the Toot Day. And Toot Day actually translates to Thoth's journey.
Oh.
So we have the name Thoth turning up in Ireland before anyone had ever heard of Thoth in Egypt.
Right.
Have you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth?
No, I've not read them, no.
Right, well, right at the beginning, it's talking about Thoth landed in Egypt and he stepped down from his spaceship and all the people were stood in front of him and he says, I've just come from Atlantis. Well, 6,000 years ago, Ireland was Atlantis, which means that he's just come from Ireland. And as the group of people he was with were called the Toot Day, Thoth's journey, I think we can put Thoth in Ireland before he ever went to Egypt. So they were called the Toot Day. So just a quick run through some names. The Fallen Angels,
Mm-hmm.
the Watchers,
Yeah.
the Anunnaki, the Shining Ones, the Aryans. Now we know it was Aryans because, they keep demonizing words. So the swastika is just the black sun for Sirius.
Yeah.
But we demonize it because if I say swastika, everyone's thinking Hitler. If I say Aryans, everyone's thinking Hitler. It's a program response.
Of course it is. They're very clever.
So if I say SS, everyone will go, "Oh, it's the Nazi SS." Well, it's not. It's Silver Star Sirius. That's what SS stands for, Silver Star Sirius. So they demonize these words, so you go look at them. I mean, even on my YouTube channel, it's called Islands Aryans. I go on and talk to people. They take one look at, they go, Islands. Oh, I can't say that word. Why? Ireland's called air. And that's why I specifically spelt it E-I-R-E and not A-R-Y. Because as soon as you put that word up, it's just a white-skinned racist supremacist pushing some Nazi agenda, whatever. And they just come out with this program bullshit that's in their head.
Yeah, it's very psychologically clever, though, because it does affect people that way. Straight away, they won't look at it. It just makes
absolutely. But all you've got to do, if you take the word Aryan, the common spelling is A-R-Y-A-N.
Mm-hmm.
Right, well, one of the earliest names for Ireland is Ari.
That's right, yeah.
A-R-I. So who lived in Ari? The Aryans.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
of course, when you look at it, yeah, it's obvious when you look at it, isn't it?
So the Aryans, all you've got to do is change that Y to an I, and all of a sudden you can find it. But like I said, they've been hiding this for 2,000 years, so they don't make it obvious. Although, like I say, once you've actually got the key cipher, once you know what you're looking for, it's just so blatantly obvious, and that's what I'm saying. You just keep pissing yourself off, laughing all the time. So we've got the royal priesthood, we have the mound builders, we have the blue-eyed builder gods, we have the sea people, we have the Phoenicians. Here's a good one, the Phoenicians. I say to you Phoenicians, and the word that pops up in your head begins with P-H. Yeah. Right, we'll change the spelling to F-I-N, Fin.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, Fin means white. So the Phoenicians, spelled F-I-N, they're the Irish Fenians.
Oh,
Fenian
interesting.
Phoenicians, the sea people. these were because we know that the tribe of Dan were the sea people. They love building boats and going out sailing all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, there's basically the Irish because you're on an island and you can't go anywhere unless you've built a boat.
Not really.
I'll do this one and I'll nip back up again. Shemsu Hor. When they arrived in Egypt, they were called the Shemsu Hor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Shemsu Hor actually translates to sons of Horus. That's not particularly interesting until you work out that Horus is another name for Sirius.
Right.
So the Shemsu Hor, the sons of Horus, can be read as the sons of Sirius. And the sons of Sirius are the Anunnaki.
Okay. Right.
Just to add a bit more meat onto that bone, if the Shemsu Hor are the Anunnaki and they came from Ireland, then if we go back to the word Anunnaki, a compound of two words. Anu is the Tuatha De Danann's mother goddess figure, and Naki means serpent. So Anunnaki can literally mean the serpent people of Anu.
Right. Okay.
The Irish.
Interesting.
So that's where you get the play on the Anunnaki, and it matches in with the Shemsu Hor. But then you can take it further, and I will do later when we start talking about Sirius, because the number of names, it's sons of Sirius all the time, because Sirius has that many different bloody names. So that's some of the names that they had when they were in Ireland. Now, I use the words watchers and fallen angels because they're biblical.
Yeah.
So during this period, 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, they knew that we were going to go through this. It was called the fall of man. As Sirius started moving away from us, it acts like a dimmer switch to the ethereal energies, chi, the force, whatever, the veil.
Okay.
So as Sirius comes towards us, the energies rise. As Sirius moves away from us, the energies fall, the thinning or the thickening of the veil. So they knew that Sirius had just been back 12,000 years ago, melted the ice caps, caused the Great Flood, and Sirius was on its way of moving away from us. So they knew for the next 12,000 years, next 10,000 years or so, there was going to be a falling of man's consciousness, and we were going to forget a lot of the knowledge that we had. So what they did is created stories based on things they knew about the body, biology, and things they knew about astrotheology. So they created these stories so they could be remembered. It's easy to remember a story. There's loads of stories, and we all know all these stories. So they created these stories so they could remember and pass these stories down. So what was created in Ireland 6,000 to 10,000 years ago was the origins of organized religion and the origins of the mystery schools.
So you're saying that scripture originated in Ireland then? Is that what we're saying?
The stories behind the scripture all came from Ireland. Or it all came from the people who lived in Ireland, because it was the knowledge that they knew. So they wrote these stories.
Okay. And then Rome's bastardized that. They took it and used it to control purposes in a way.
Well, it started before that, to be honest with you, because it started back in Egypt.
Right, okay.
This is why I'm just explaining why the stories themselves that were created in Ireland, the organized religion bit was just Jack and Jill went up the hill. It was just a story. Then the mystery schools was the real story, the explanation behind the story. So the organized religion bit was for the masses, and the mystery schools were for the elites who got to know the real shit. Anyway, 6,000 years ago, there was another flood. They were called the Storegga slides. And this was an undersea landslip that happened up near Denmark somewhere that caused 3 of the world's biggest tsunamis, and they crashed into the islands, North Scotland, Ireland. This was the sinking of Atlantis.
Right.
It wasn't sinking of Atlantis and the biblical flood. The biblical flood was not the Great Flood 12,000 years ago. The biblical flood and the sinking of Atlantis was the Stellify 6,000 years ago. Because I say the stories in the Bible all come from Ireland.
Right.
So the sinking of Atlantis and the Great Flood in the Bible with Noah's Ark, because there is an argument to say that Newgrange is Noah's Ark, and the animals went in 2 by 2 in genetics.
Right.
Because we know that they were playing with genetics back then. So if Newgrange was the Ark, then the biblical flood was the Storega slides, and it wasn't Atlantis sinking into the sea, it was the sea rising up over the land. The land stayed where it was. So this drove these people out of Ireland. So one thing that I did notice when I was looking around the world at all these different people, were 2 dates kept cropping up. One was 6,000 years ago and one was 3,500 years ago. So then when you find out that the Storega slides hit Ireland 6,000 years ago, and it was that time, that's when they went out around the world to re-educate everybody. Because the rest of the world, because Ireland basically had a head start on everybody else because of the Atlantic Gulf Stream.
Yeah.
It kept Ireland artificially warm. So Ireland had 2 growing seasons a year, like Plato said. So Ireland got a head start on the rest of humanity. Then you have these people turning up, these, well, we can call them X-Men, because I look at them as the 24 pairs of chromosomes perfect humans. Do you know that you've got 23 pairs of
23. Well, that makes us the hybrid, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're a hybrid. You can't go from 24 to 23 without there being genetic manipulation.
That's where I'm going with this cosmic lie thing at the moment. Is like we've been hijacked. Humanity's. Yeah.
You hear these people talking about today's elites. Well, I'm sorry. Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, Bill Gates, they've got 23 pairs of chromosomes. They're not chosen. They're not the 24 pairs. And 24 is actually the X. 24 is the 24th letter of the alphabet, which is X. So then you start looking at X-Men. Twitter,
interesting.
X. Why do we keep seeing X everywhere you see it? Well, I'm putting it down to this is the 24 pairs of the perfect human who they think they are, but they're not, because they're the same as us and they've got 23 pairs of chromosomes. They're as goyim as we are. We're the hybrids.
Do you think the 24s are still walking amongst us?
No. I think if you look at the Tartarian theory, or the conspiracy behind the Tartaria, all the buildings were massive.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm round about 1750 to 1800. There was a global effect. I think we were both on the planet at the time. 23 pair. I keep calling us the little people. Imagine like 23 pair little people were the slaves, and you've got the 24 pair of the perfect humans. Well, they were actually struggling because the oxygen levels had fallen. The oxygen levels used to be at 14%. 40%. Today they're at 18%. So if you reduce the oxygen levels, you reduce the carbon levels, everyone shrinks. So if you were 12 foot tall, you're going to need more oxygen than if you're 6 foot tall.
Of course, yeah. Makes you wonder what they're playing with at the moment, Neil. For me, that the climate change agenda that's going on at the moment makes me wonder what they're up to.
Climate change, CC 33.
Yeah. Well, we know it's nonsense, don't we? We know it's bollocks, but
absolutely. But they are using DARPA and they are using chemtrails to alter the weather.
Exactly. So what is it they're up to then regarding CO2? Then, we're already dumbed down as it is. Are they making us dumber? They're moving us into the transhumanism thing. This is another. We're going off tangent here, but that's my brain going off on one where this is leading.
Yeah, well, you start like that, and then it'll start me off with like talking for the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Let's go back to where you were, because I'll take you somewhere else.
Right, let me stay on track with this.
Yeah.
Right, 6,000 years ago, the Storegga slides, it smashed Ireland, everyone left Ireland, and they went out throughout the world. So if you know anything about the Anunnaki story in Mesopotamia, they claim on the tablets that they turned up around about 6,000 years ago. Well, this is the date that they turned up. If you look at the Shemsu Hor, who turned up in Egypt to restart Egypt. Egypt had been going before the Great Flood. Egypt just got smashed, and no one had bothered to restart it again because humanity was still picking its way up.
Yeah.
So the Shemsu Hor went back to Egypt to restart Egypt. The Aryan invasion of India, there were two invasions, one at 6,000 years ago, one at 3,500 years ago. So like I said, this 6,000 year date keeps showing up all over the planet, and it turns out that 6,000 years ago, this is when they left Ireland to go out around the world to re-educate everybody.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I tend to, at the moment, if I'm just talking through this briefly, I tend to just go to Egypt because that was one of the main places that they went to. They went to restart it.
Yeah.
So they were called the Shemsu Hor. Everyone knows the names of them: Isis, Horus, Set, Thoth, blah blah blah. So they landed in Egypt 6,000 years ago, and they landed with these stories, and secret stories and open stories. So during the next couple of thousand years, what happened was these stories got perfected and transformed into control mechanisms. This was done by the priest classes for greed, because I said there was a falling of man, where we'd fallen from being humble and humanity and driven to help people.
Yeah.
Then as we have the fall of man, then you have things like materialism, ego, selfishness, things like that started to come into play. So the priest classes, what they did is they took all these stories and all these mystery skills, and they converted them literally into religions and mystery skills. Took the stories seriously. So just for example, we're talking about Sirius coming and going. Sirius is also called Satan. So if you look at the biblical story of Satan, Satan came to Earth and he had to do battle with Archangel Michael.
Yeah.
Michael had to see him off and save humanity. Is basically the biblical story. Well, what that story was Sirius came back close to the sun. It started melting the ice caps and killing massive number of people on the Earth. And the sun, Archangel Michael, had to see Sirius, Satan, off again to save humanity. Right. So that was basically the story. And then that's how it got converted into organized religion.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah.
So this is how they just put normal stories. There's one story, I think it's something like, if you see a man going into, what is it? Something like, if you see a man carrying water, if you see a man carrying fish, go into a bar, carry a bucket of water in after him, or something like that. And basically all it is Aquarius follows Pisces.
Yeah.
Follows the fish.
Yeah. The changes of the ages. Yeah.
Yeah. So they took these simple stories and then literally made them into an organized religion, so then they could control people and make money out of them.
That's it. I mean, the astrotheology. I mean, the thing is, people see this stuff as literal, don't they? This is the problem, isn't it? That they take it as literal. They don't see the allegory behind it. The fact that those stories, like you said before, are there to help you remember who you truly are.
Well, it does me head when I'm watching researchers, and they're doing some great research. Enter the Stars, he's a perfect example. He does some awesome research and comes up with some brilliant observations, but then his answers to all the observations that he make come from the Bible, directly from the Bible, from the King James.
Right.
Even hold on, a Freemason wrote that in 1600. And even then it was a story of a story of a story. Unless you can go back to the origins of the story, you can't use the Bible to decipher what it is you're seeing.
It's Bible.
Well, it is, yeah, literally. So you've heard of Akhenaten?
No. Enlighten
Akhenaten.
me on that one.
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten.
Yeah, end of the 18th dynasty. He was father. I think his son was Tutankhamun.
Oh, right. Okay, go on. I don't know the story, though. You'll have to...
Right. Well, the end of the 18th dynasty,
Yeah,
roughly about 3,500 years ago, Akhenaten came to power.
right.
Now, apparently, Akhenaten then read the original teachings of Thoth. So this was the pure knowledge, the pure stories, just the stories. And he realized what had happened, that the priest classes had taken this pure knowledge and twisted it and manipulated it into religions that you've got to pay for, and these multi-religions and multi-gods, gods for everything. So Akhenaten realized what had happened. So when he became pharaoh, he broke away from Egypt, within Egypt, and he built his own capital city called Heliopolis.
Right.
The Sun City. And it was like sun worship, one god, Atonism. Because you've got Ammonism, which is multi-god, and Atonism, which is one god. So Akhenaten broke away and created his own religion again, started the original teachings with only one god, sun worship, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But because the priest classes had controlled the knowledge for so long, and the entire population of Egypt believed in multi-gods, well, and it was like us telling someone not to take a vaccine. Everybody turns around and everybody knows that you're wrong because they know that vaccines are good. Akhenaten had the same problem in Egypt 3,500 years ago, because he's trying to tell everyone that this is the pure knowledge. What you've been taught and what you're believing is bullshit for control and money. But because he was one person and they were all the entire population of Egypt and all the priest classes, he got thrown out. So
nothing's changed then, has it, really? Cognitive dissonance has always been around.
We're all just Akhenatens.
Is that missing chromosome?
It probably is. I think I've got 23 and a half. Pinch someone else, pinch half of someone else's. So you heard of the biblical Exodus?
Yeah.
When they left Egypt.
Yeah.
Moses left Egypt. Right. So the people, the Aryans, who were the pharaohs, all Akhenaten's relations, and all the people that had followed Akhenaten, they all got kicked out of Egypt 3,500 years ago. And apparently there were millions of them. There were, I think, 5-6 million, something like that, got kicked out of Egypt.
Okay.
Now, from this point, I like to refer to them more of the tribes of Israel, because the tribes of Israel was more of a case of where they lived in Britain.
Right.
So like Scousers and Brummies and Scots and Welsh, they were just called different names from where they were different people.
Yeah.
So 3,500 years ago, the Exodus, Akhenaten and the Aryans all basically got kicked out of Egypt. So when they left, the first place they all headed to was back to Britain.
Yeah.
Because Britain was the Holy Land. Britain is the land of milk and honey. When you hear that they left Egypt and went back to the land of milk and honey, well, the land of milk and honey just happens to be Ireland.
Wow.
Not somewhere in the Middle East, which is 5 minutes walk away.
Wow.
So they all started coming back to Ireland. Now, most of them walked up through Palestine, up through Turkey, up into Europe, across Europe. Some of them didn't. Some of them went from Egypt, they went straight down. So when you hear that, Christianity, the beginnings of Christianity was in Ethiopia 3,500 years ago. You went, no, that's 3,500 years ago is the date that these Irish left Egypt, and some of them went straight south. And the first place you come to is Ethiopia. So they carried this Christianity as it was then to Ethiopia. And then if you look where they went, they just carried on going straight down south. And that was the Aryan invasion of India 3,500 years ago. But I'm going in the wrong direction. So most of them set off walking. Now, they didn't all come back to Britain. Some of them some of them did get as far as Palestine and go, I've had enough. I quite like it here. It's sunny, nice fishing. I'm staying here. Some of them went to Germany. Some of them went to Russia. They spread out a bit, but the vast majority came back to Britain. Now, Britain, BRIT-TAIN, again, is a compound of two words. It means people of the covenant.
Okay, right.
How can Britain be called people of the covenant if the chosen land is in Israel at the far end of the Mediterranean? Well, it's not. Britain is called the people of the covenant. We are the tribes of Israel. They came from Britain. Christianity came from Britain. The mystery schools came from Britain. So
interesting.
So the Tuatha De Danann, the tribe of Dan, they were always known as the sailors, the sea people. So where everyone walked, the Tuathas got in boats and sailed. So they were the first ones back. So they got back to Ireland about 3,500 years ago. Obviously, there were people still here. So when they got back, they had a battle, the first battle in Moytura against the Firbolg. So that allowed them to stay in Ireland. And I'm skipping over quite a bit of stuff, but they ended up having to have two battles. The first battle of Moytura was against the Firbolg, so they could get footing in the island. Then over the years, there was another group of people called the Fomorians, and they were like they were just a bunch of bullies.
Right.
And they used to bully the Tuathas. So eventually they had to have a battle with them called the Second Battle of Moytura. You heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Mm-hmm.
Found in 1947 in a pot in Egypt.
Yeah. Conveniently.
Yeah, one of the scrolls in the Dead Sea Scrolls is called the War Scroll.
Okay, yeah.
If you read the story about the Tuatha De Danann and the Second Battle of Moytura, the Tuatha De Danann are called the Sons of Light. The Fomorians are called the Sons of Dark. If you go and read the War Scroll that's found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the first verse, the first page is the Sons of Light did battle against the Sons of Dark. Hold on a minute, this is the Second Battle of Moytura. And the more you read it, it is. Yeah, it went on over 5 days, and they could bring each other back to life again, and they had got all these magical weapons and stuff. You're just reading this, and you're just going, why am I reading the Second Battle of Moytura from a biblical script that was in a vase in Egypt for the last 2,000 years? So the Tuathas had a battle, the Second Battle of Moytura. You heard of David and Goliath? David killed the giant Goliath with a slingshot and then went on to be King David, etc., etc. Yeah, well, that actually happened in the Second Battle of Moytura when King Lu killed the giant, the king of the Fomorians, Balor of the Evil Eye.
Right.
So he killed Balor with a slingshot. So David and Goliath is taken from the Second Battle of Moytura when King Lu killed Balor with a slingshot. That's where that story comes from.
When I was a kid, I always wondered why he was called David. And yet it's supposed to be in the Middle East. So there were questions I were asking myself, similar to the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I could never really get my head around that at all.
I was 11 years old. I'd just gone to secondary school. My first religious education lesson that I'd ever had in my life. And she's reading about all the Bible and all the rest of it. Halfway through the lesson, it's like, please, miss. Yes. This Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Andrew, David, Mary, Rachel. Why have they all got British names? And everyone's like, oh, shut up, you idiot, shut up, you idiot.
I know, that's what I got.
Nobody could ever answer that question, ever, until a few years ago when I discovered it for myself, that they've all got British names because they all came from Britain. It is literally that easy. Literally.
Yeah.
So you're talking about David. So Lu was David.
Right.
the Shepherd King. But then you take that on further because David then he is like the father of the Abrahamic bloodline, isn't he? He was at the temple. So once you find that out, you also find out that Jerusalem is Edinburgh.
I've heard this. Yeah, I've heard this.
So Jerusalem was Edinburgh. Sorry, Edinburgh was Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
I can put so much onto that because if you take the word Jerusalem, Jerusalem, chopped into 4 words, Jerusalem translates to "I see the light."
Oh, interesting. That's
in
great.
Irish.
Okay.
Really? So they named Jerusalem out in the Middle East using 4 Irish words, did they? I don't think so. But if you actually, again, I've done talks on Jerusalem, the Zion talk that I did. Queen Shannon, Queen Zion, daughter of King Mananan. That's where the word Zion comes from.
All right.
King Mananan was king of the Isle of Man. Now, when Zion died, she was deified by Christianity as Eden, Saint Eden.
Right, interesting.
So Saint Eden was queen of the Isle of Man, and another name for the Isle of Man is the Isle of Apples. So the Isle of Man is called the Isle of Apples, ruled over by Queen Eden.
Yeah. Forbidden fruit.
Garden of Eden. Yeah, and the forbidden fruit is actually Amanita muscaria mushroom.
Of course. Why not?
Because the actual mushroom itself is the fruit.
Yeah.
It's got these roots go out for miles and miles, but the fruit itself is the mushroom.
And you would open your consciousness, would you not?
Precisely. Well, that goes back to one of the stories in the Bible, and it says, to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become like children. So what does that mean? That means that when you're 7 years old, or thereabouts, your pineal gland closes. So if you talk to kids that are 5, 6, 7 years old, they talk about some crazy stuff. You're just thinking that can't be true. What are you talking about? But what it means is to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become like children. That means to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must have an open pineal gland, which means the kingdom of heaven is everywhere. All around.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's very interesting as well because they've really attacked the pineal gland, haven't they?
With the calcification.
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, I mean, I keep saying that because I was talking before about the fall of man and the fall of the lowering of these ethereal energies. Well, imagine how big your pineal gland would have been if you were 10 foot tall. Drinking pure water, 40% oxygen, pure water, no shit in your food. Your pineal gland would be the size of your fist.
Yeah, you'd be a totally different being, though, wouldn't you? You'd be able to do things that we couldn't even dream of right now.
Yeah, well, this is what I say. This is when you look back in history, especially at the Egyptian stuff. I mean, they found a 15,000-year-old vase, and it's 0.3 thousandth of an inch off perfect on a 15,000-year-old solid granite vase. I don't think so.
Well, this is it, though. I mean, we see these structures, don't we? Here, there, and everywhere. How would we have been able to do that if we're with hammer and chisel and exactly? But I'm not saying nobody. A lot of people are looking at it now, but in general, the person on the street are ignorant to that, aren't they? They don't see
it's so obvious. I mean, everybody knows about the boxes of Serapeum. Everyone knows about the pyramids. Or you just go, well, how were they built? Oh, I don't know.
I know.
Are you not?
Again, as a kid, I remember asking these questions. But how were they moving, and how were they making it so precise? How did they do that?
Even when you tell them the answer, they're not interested. That's the more fascinating. I don't mind doing the research, but then someone telling you that you're an idiot, you haven't got a clue what you're talking about when you're trying to answer the impossible questions.
Don't be a critical thinker, Neil. It's really bad for you.
Well, it is this fact will stay with me for the rest of my life. COVID, lockdown, vaccines.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people took a vaccine?
How many?
Yeah.
Well, too many, for one. I don't know the exact number, but I would imagine.
Oh, I was fascinated with this because I keep saying that the information is there. All you've got to do is click on a mouse and the information is there.
Yeah.
You can have, obviously, you can have every opinion that there is, but it's up to you to do your own research and you to educate yourself. That's so right. I'd already done that before the vaccine ever came out. I knew I was never taking a vaccine before in 2018 when I heard Bill Gates say he could kill 1 billion people using vaccines.
His TED Talks.
Yeah, 2016. The TED Talks in 2016. Even then, it was like, I knew in 2016. Well, it was 2017 because he patented a vaccine 12 months later because I read the patent for the bloody vaccine. It's like, you're the bloke that said he could kill 1 billion people using vaccines, aren't you? Yeah, I don't think I'll be having any vaccines off you. And then 3 years later, everyone's queuing up to take a vaccine off him.
I know.
But it was like, do people not understand what DNA is? That if you alter your DNA, you cannot alter it again, ever.
This is the thing. This was my big stand in the ground, and my fight for my kids as well. It was like, this is not. I mean, we don't need to get into it too much. YouTube probably won't like too much of it, but this is not your normal vaccination, is it? You know,
no,
this is the thing. This was another altering of your DNA, another hijack of humanity.
Well, there was no live virus in it. How can it be a vaccine if there's no live virus in it?
It's a lot of shite.
But it was only, I'd probably say a couple of years ago, I suddenly found out the percentage of the population that had at least one vaccine, most of which knew that it was an experimental vaccine, that it would alter your DNA and it could potentially cause blood clots and kill you. 87.5% of the population still had at least one.
Wow, that's massive.
Yes.
That's massive.
I was expecting about 50-50 at most. I sat through, it was like 87.5% that didn't bother doing any research. You're risking your lives, your family lives, your kids' lives, and you still queue up and took one. It's
so huge that it shows you the power of perception and mind, or the mind control and everything else that goes on. The fear is a big thing.
It showed me that how little people actually do any research of their own, how people aren't prepared to stand up for themselves.
Well, they're not, because it's herd, isn't it? We're very much herd animals, and if you stand up on your own, you're pointed at. You know what it's like, Neil.
Yeah, I've had it my entire life.
Exactly.
So the vaccine down was easy.
Yeah, it was for me as well, but
sequel was that one.
You know, how many friends did we lose over that period?
Lots.
Family members that just stopped talking to you. You know? Mental, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was still, it didn't matter what happened, because I think I said on day one, look, you're talking about giving me a shot of a vaccine. Well, I'll tell you what, where my perspective was, you put a vaccine in that arm and you put a gun there and you say, which shot do you want? I said, pull the trigger.
I was the same. I remember I was up with my missus one night, Neil, and I said, if they come round here and they put a gun to my head, and they're saying, take a, you know, if you don't take the shot, I'll kill your husband. I said, let them shoot me dead, because you do not take this.
So exactly the same. I'd rather be dead before I have one.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a swift death than a slow death. So pull the trigger, get on with it.
Exactly. No,
anyway,
yeah.
Nipping back to Edinburgh.
Yeah, get back to Edinburgh.
Right, the Irish Fenians. The claim is that the Irish were the tribes of Israel. Right, you've seen the flag of Israel with the Star of David in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, here's an interesting one for you then. Jacob, Israel, the father of the 12 sons, when he died, he was deified by the Irish Fenians as the planet Saturn. Ah.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Saturn, Saturn on its north pole has a hexagram.
That's right, yeah.
So that's why the Jews use the hexagram as the Star of David, because it's on the north pole of Saturn, and Saturn was deified as Israel when he died. That's also why you get the black cube, because the black cube is in the center of the hexagram, so they use the black cube as well. And this is also why the Jews have their Sabbath on Saturn's day, Saturday, not Sunday. So them having their Sabbath on Saturn's day is basically them worshipping Israel.
I think listening to something of yourself earlier on, Saturn is a place where frequency is sent out. Really, I suppose it's like a transmuter.
Yeah, Saturn itself, Saturn, translates to the mast.
The mast.
Yeah. So if you look back at was it Cassini? In the 80s, they had two satellites that went past it. I don't remember what they're called. But they recorded sounds coming from Saturn.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But no one knew what they were, and there was a lot of speculation because if you look at there's a theory called the ring makers of Saturn, that they've filmed craft in the rings, altering the rings, and they reckon what they're doing is tuning the rings to produce different frequencies.
Right.
The work I did on Saturn, that was the 666, weren't it?
Yeah.
Cart Bar La. Well, it was Car Bar La because the Jews use Israelites came from Ireland. Well, if you look at the car is the soul. Sorry, the car is the carrier of the soul. Bar is the soul, and La is the frequency of the soul.
Makes sense.
Now,
yeah.
Now, Saturn is the 6th planet. La is the 6th tone of the solfeggio scale, and your pineal gland is your 6th chakra. So,
right, okay.
In my world, 666 is Saturn producing a frequency that comes down to Earth that we can read with our pineal gland.
That's interesting. Is that why there was Saturn worshipping going on then, do you think?
Yeah, it's the only thing in relation to Saturn is why they worship Saturn, Kronos, is basically just because the Phoenicians deified Israel as Saturn when he died. So this is why this is what I say. This is where you get the hexagram, you get the black cube, you get Saturn's day and Saturnalia in Rome. Everything about Saturn is because the Phoenicians deified Israel as Saturn when he died. So that's where you get the Star of David from. Staying on Jerusalem, have you heard of a Roman historian called... I forgot his name. You won't have heard of him because I can't remember.
Can I ask you quickly about Israel though? Because you're saying Jacob is Israel.
Jacob is the father. Jacob is the father of the 12 sons. Now, after he'd given birth to the 12 sons, because Jacob was a good boy, God changed his name to Israel. Israel is a man's name. So his name when he was born was Jacob. He had these 12 sons, so God changed his name to Israel. And then when Israel died, he was deified as Saturn.
Right, get you now. Okay. And Israel itself is split into three as well, isn't it? You got
Israel.
Israel, yeah.
Yeah, well, you got it is ISIS. Ra is the Egyptian sun god. Then you know the story of Ra with his yellow submarine, his yellow sunboat that he goes down into the underworld every night. So that's the Beatles' yellow submarine.
That's right. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
which is quite funny. And El is the Israelites' god. But I've got El as being Saturn, Sirius, because their god is Sirius.
Okay.
So you were talking El. I did last week called the Elvin Sons of El. And if you were the Elvin, the Tuatha De Danann like to call themselves the Elvin folk. So wherever you hear the word Elvin, and you've got all little pointy ears and yeah. Now, the Elvin folk, again, Elvin, if you chop that up into two words, Elvin, Vin actually means son. So Elvin means sons of El.
Right. Okay.
And El is Sirius, then Elvin, sons of El, is also sons of Sirius.
And L, just not taking it too far because we want to get back to Jerusalem in a minute. But L is also in all the archangels' names, isn't it?
Is it? I've not gone through all the.
Yeah, well, pretty much more or less Uriel, Michael. So L's are in them, pretty much all of them.
Yeah, and I can guarantee if you take off the L and then do a translation on the rest of the word, you'll come up with something that is poignant to who they are. So I keep seeing these words, and if you see L or Sa or whatever, then you go, I mean, Michael Tsarian kept mentioning, he was talking about the Great Flood and the scarring of mentality, and he kept saying the word disaster. And then the word came up, and all I saw in the middle of it was S-A, Za, Dan, Sa, Star. And then all on, Sa, Star, Di, Sa, Star. Well, I already know that Di is Diana, and I know that Diana is Sirius.
Right, okay.
So
okay.
Di Za Star is Sirius the star, which caused the Di Za Star, the Great Flood.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, we'll definitely get to a bit of Sirius in a bit if we can. But so Jerusalem is Edinburgh, though. And I've been to Edinburgh a few times. I don't do cities much, and I must admit there's something about Edinburgh that I really love. And I don't know.
Well, firstly, if you look on the Royal Mile, the temple on the Royal Mile, that's the one that they keep going out to Jerusalem and kissing. When they keep going out to the Middle East and kissing, is it the Wailing Wall? Yeah. They should be in Edinburgh. They're on their own bloody continent. They should be kissing a wall on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, not out in bloody Scotland, but out in Israel, out in the state of Israel, because that's just literally a circus. They created that as a circus to put a home of Christianity, but we've not quite got to that bit yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So Jerusalem, Edinburgh. I mean, the number one, Josephus. I knew we'd get there. The Roman historian Josephus. Now, I don't know how this managed to get through, but it did. He was writing about his description of Jerusalem, and he was writing about a place called Joppa or Jaffa. Joppa and Jaffa is the same place. So if you look on a map out in the Middle East, Joppa is a fishing port, and it's 30 miles away from Jerusalem. If you look at Edinburgh, Joppa is a fishing port about 2 miles away. Now, what Josephus said was the women of Jerusalem used to go to Joppa to buy their fish, go home, cook it for the fellas. All right, well, hold on a minute. What you're saying then is that the women of Jerusalem out in the Middle East walked across a desert for 30 miles, bought some fish, walked 30 miles at home across a desert with this smelly fish every day just to cook some fish for the tea. But then when you look at Edinburgh, there's actually a path that Josephus talked about. Said they walk up and down this path, and there's actually a path that goes from Joppa to the centre of Edinburgh called the Fisherman's Way. I think it's called Fisher Way.
Right.
And you can see this path. You can bring it all up on Google Earth. And that was one of the major smoking guns, as I say, when you're reading what Josephus said about Jerusalem and Joppa, it can't be anywhere else. I mean, it's like Plato. You've heard of Plato?
Yeah.
So if I said to you, what did Plato say about Atlantis?
I'm not sure. Go on.
90% of people who knew what he'd said will all say, "Oh, Atlantis is beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Plato said that."
Right. Okay.
Right. Is that it? Oh, yeah, Plato said it. Well, actually, Plato said quite a lot about the island of Atlantis. Just 3 of the smoking guns. Plato said that Atlantis was 6 million square cubits. Island is 6 million square cubits.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Plato said the capital of Atlantis was 80 cubits from the sea. Tara is 80 cubits from the sea. Plato also said that Atlantis had 2 growing seasons a year. Ireland has 2 growing seasons a year. And when you run through everything that Plato said about the island of Atlantis, you go, the only place on the planet it could possibly be is Ireland.
So dot connecting going on there, Neil.
Yeah, but again, if you sort of like most people will say, oh, like I say, well, Plato said it's beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Yeah, but he also said, he wrote mountains, page after page about what Atlantis was. Do some research and go and research what it is that you're quoting. Don't quote that one line that everybody knows, like saying 666 is the number of the beast, without researching it yourself. So you know that, oh, actually 666 isn't the number of the beast, it's 616. But then you can spend the rest of your life going, no, you're wrong, it's 616. Unfortunately, you'd be one of only a handful of people on the planet that would know that. So that's what I said. This is the only reason why I'm starting to do this kind of work rather than just doing all my research, is to save someone else 10 or 20 years of research to go so that they don't have to do the 20 years that I've just done. You have to build the foundation of knowing who the Anunnaki are before ever understanding of going, oh, they're in Ireland. So you have to understand they come from Nibiru and they came to dig the gold and they created humans, blah blah blah. You've got to know the rough story about it. So yeah, you have to have a foundation course, if you will. This is more like university stuff. So you can't jump straight from primary school into university. You have to go through that rigmarole of learning who the Anunnaki are in Mesopotamia.
Do you think the Anunnaki are? Do you think that story is relatively correct then, in terms of? I know you're bringing it all to its true origin.
I would say the story in Mesopotamia is roughly correct, but I will throw a spanner in the works because Mesopotamia is in Iran. Well, one of the original names for Ireland is Erin, E-R-I-N.
Okay.
And if you translate the word Erin in ancient Hebrew, Irish, you come up with the word Iran.
Oh, yeah. It makes you wonder why they're always after Iran, though, aren't they? They're always trying to get something done over there.
Yeah, they've got a lot of oil.
Well, so
if I were to say the Anunnaki came from Iran, that statement would be true if I was talking about the Anunnaki in Mesopotamia or if I was talking about the Anunnaki in Ireland. Ireland is still called Iran, and the Anunnaki came from Iran, which is Ireland.
Yeah.
So how much they took from Ireland and dumped out in the Middle East. Because what happened was, I'll move on from Jerusalem and just move on to what happened after that. Because the Tuatha De Danann basically ruled over Ireland for 300 years until the Milesians came back with Queen Scotia. That's how Scotland got its name, from Scotialand. She was granddaughter of Akhenaten, daughter of Tutankhamun. she came from the Pharaoh class. Mm-hmm. She went to Spain, married King Mill, had two sons, Heber and Herman, and then they decided, where after King Mill died, they left Spain and came back to Ireland. This was the 7th invasion of Ireland by the Milesians. And during the invasion, Queen Scotia died. So a bit later on, when they went into Scotland, which was called Caledonia at the time, they rechristened Caledonia as Scotialand after Queen Scotia. So
right, okay.
That's how Scotland became Scotialand after Queen Scotia of the Milesians.
Interesting. Oh, very interesting. Okay.
But the Milesians beat the Tuatha De Dananns and threw them out of Ireland. The common story, no one really knows where they went after that, but I'm saying they went straight back to the Mediterranean, because what they did is they stole, plagiarized, borrowed British Christianity,
okay,
went to Rome, set up Rome as the center of Christianity.
Yeah.
So obviously they had to spend a few hundred years embedding it. I mean, they even tell you now that the original religion of Rome was pagan. Well, the word pagan is a Roman word which basically means countryside.
Right.
And what the implication is, the word pagan means the old folk, the practicing the old religion, the simple country folk who are practicing the old religion, British Christianity. So British Christianity and paganism is the same word. It's the same thing.
It sounds like they were making a mockery out of the people.
Yeah, the word pagan is actually a mockery. So people going around calling themselves pagan, you're taking the piss out of yourself. The word pagan was only ever created by Rome to mock the people who were still practicing the original British Christianity. That's where the word pagan comes from. But Rome was pagan before Roman Christianity ever came along, before the Tuathas took British Christianity and plagiarized it into Roman Christianity.
That's really fascinating, that.
It was pagan.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, that, though, because obviously then the control aspect comes from Rome, doesn't it? You know, they come in, they slaughter people, don't they? They come and they remove the druids.
Hundreds of millions. But so they created Rome and Roman Christianity. So when you get through to the Council of Nicaea, is it about 350 AD? That's when they officially created a Bible, a organized religion called Roman Christianity, Catholicism, call it what you want.
Yeah.
That's when they created an official religion from it. Now, from that point onwards, all they did was try and kill off any remnants, anyone still practicing British Christianity. Any history of British Christianity was all killed off, wiped out. So we get up to 1000 AD. Now, that's when we had the Crusades out in the Middle East. What the Crusades was doing was creating the Holy Land. They created Jerusalem. They created a home for Roman Christianity out in the Middle East. That's what the Crusades was all about, because they wanted to take away Jerusalem from being Edinburgh, and move it out to the far end of the Mediterranean. Which is why I say, when you were talking about the Mesopotamia and the Anunnaki, did they take the story from Ireland of these Anunnaki coming from Iran Island and move it out to the far end of the Mediterranean to have you looking in completely the wrong direction?
Yeah.
I think so, because I know that 1000 AD they created the Holy Land. So all these arguments about the state of Israel and it's been there for 3,500 years and blah blah, no, it hasn't. They only created it 1,000 years ago. The Holy Land in the Middle East was only created 1,000 years ago. So the Crusaders, when they came back from creating the Holy Land, this was 800 AD to 1100 AD. When they got back, they were rewarded by being made into what's called the Black Nobility. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
In Venice.
Yeah.
And really weirdly, the leader of the black nobility in Venice was called the Doge. You know
Oh,
that
that's
one from
interesting.
Elon
Yeah, yeah,
Musk.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The leader of the Venetians, the black nobility in Venice, was called the Doge. Interesting.
Interesting.
And if you take the word Venice, as I've already said, the word Ven means
Yeah.
sun. It's an Irish word, means sun.
Okay.
So if the people who lived in Venice are called the Venetians, correct?
Yeah.
Well, one saying before about King Lew, who killed Balor. Well, his dad is called Cian. So if you take the word Venetian, Ven, son of Cian, the sons
Interesting.
Venetians are the sons of Cian, and Cian was Lew's dad from the Tuatha De Danann, and
That's amazing.
Cian in the Bible was Cain.
Ah, okay. Right.
So I was saying because there's 16 consonants and no vowels, so Cain is the same as Cian. He was called Cian in Ireland, but in the Bible he got called Cain. All they did was just swap two letters around, which weren't even there to start off with. It was just Cn. And we know this because Cain, Cian, in the Bible, the famous story is Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Cain killed his brother in a fit of jealous rage. Well, close, because Cian's brother, Malik, he got killed in a fit of jealous rage.
Mm.
But Cian, Malik, the sons of Di and Kect, were all surgeons. Now, during the first Battle of Moytura, the king of the Tuathas was called Nuada, and he lost one of his arms. Now, in Ireland, if you're the king and you have an imperfection, you've got to step down. You can't be if you've got an imperfection. So he lost his arm, obviously, big imperfection. He had to step down from being king.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the surgeon, Dian Kect, made him a new arm made out of silver. And it was a fully functioning working arm. It was just made out of silver. So he had that for a while. And then his son came along, Malik. Now, this was a family of surgeons. So his son, Malik, went, you know something, I think I can do better than that. I'm going to make him a real arm, a really real arm, one that works. So he did it, and he made Nuada a real arm that worked. But the problem is that because he'd outshone his dad, because he'd embarrassed Dian, because he'd made him a real arm and not a silver one, Dian flew off in a fit of jealous rage and murdered Milak, Cain's brother. So Cain's brother, Milak, did get murdered in a fit of jealous rage, but it wasn't by Cain, it was by his dad, Dian Kect. So there's another biblical story for you sorted out.
God.
So we'll go back up to the Venetians. Let's go back to Italy, to the Venetians.
Yeah.
So you've got the black nobility. And basically they spread from Venice to Vienna, another Ven. They took over they were basically the royal families of Europe and the banking families. So where you've got like the Rothschilds and all the rest of it, these are all the black nobility. And they're called the black nobility, not because they had black skin. It's just because the deeds were so dark that they got the nickname of black nobility because they just murdered and killed everybody and stole everything.
Yeah.
So you've got the British Crown, Charles. Now, what's von Gothenburg, is it? His real name? It's not Windsor.
Well,
They changed it.
It's
not Windsor. They changed it in 1917, halfway through the First World War, so they didn't sound as German.
That's right.
I think it was von Gothenburg or something similar, but they come from the bloodline of the Habsburgs. They're the ones with the big chins.
Right.
Well, the Habsburgs come from Vienna and Venice. They are the black nobility. So our royal family today come from the black nobility. They haven't got a drop of royal British blood in their bodies.
No, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
No, we have for over 1,000 years. We haven't had a British royal sat on the crown for probably about 1,000 years now. Yeah,
Bonkers, isn't it?
So they created the black nobility, who were the banking families, the royal families. Obviously, then they take over things like media, press, schooling. They took over the governments, and part of their operation was to kill off British Christianity, and they pretty much did that all over the planet. I mean, it was widespread. It was literally all over the planet. They did have to go all over the planet and kill it. Anyone still practicing it, destroy it. The problem is, it only really survives in about 3 places now. And I only found one of them out this morning. This other one. One of the places is Yemen. It still survives. They've been bombing the shit.
I know.
Out of Yemen last year.
There's a famine there now.
I'll tell you, the one I found this morning, Nigeria.
All right.
And Trump was bombing shit out of them last week. But one of the main places, this is the interesting bit, one of the main places is Russia.
Oh, okay.
Russian Orthodox Christianity is British Orthodox Christianity. This is why Roman Christianity is always butting heads with Russian Orthodox Christianity, because Russian Orthodox Christianity is like Rome's daddy. So this is why they've spent the last 400 years, Rome, the Vatican. It doesn't matter who you say it. Poland 1600, Sweden 1700, France, Germany, Spain, Ireland, and all the rest of it 1812 with Napoleon, 1850 Britain and France in the Crimea, 1914 Germany, 1941 Germany, 2008 Chechnya. 1998 Chechnya, 2008 Chechnya, 2011 Georgia, 2014 NATO and the Ukraine. All these times, every one of those is when Rome has been attacking Russia. And basically the plan is, and the plan always has been, to wipe Russia out, put in a puppet state, put a Zelensky type figure in charge so they can rape and pillage and rob everything that Russia's got. That's part of the plan. But the main part of the plan is to destroy Russian Orthodox Christianity, because it's one of the last places on the planet that it actually still lives. This is what I was saying when we first started talking. For the last 25 years, all I've seen, because you say the word Putin and everyone will go, oh, he's a replacement, he's in there, they're all in the same club, he's New World Order, he's this, he's that, he works for them. And yet I'm watching Putin and I'm going, he hasn't done a single thing to promote the New World Order. In fact, it was only a couple of years ago that Putin actually made Satanism illegal in Russia. And all he's done is promote family unity, pride in the country. I was watching a series of films that they did 10 years ago about the Second World War and Russia, Germany in the Second. I knew nothing about Russia and Germany in the Second World War up to about 10 years ago. And then Putin and Russia put out this series of documentaries. Can't remember what it's just called. Battlestorm? Something like that. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
So he brought out this series of videos, and it was all about educating people, making the Russians proud of being Russian again, and spending money on Russian Orthodoxy. He wants to build up the family unit. So now, if you have 4 children in Russia, they pay off your mortgage. How cool's that?
Well, we're trying to put money together to get a loaf of bread over here. Yeah.
I mean, so all I've ever seen Putin do for the last 20 years is make Russia great again. In fact, it just became a laughing stock, because all Trump has done and all NATO have done is make Russia great again because of all the sanctions. Yeah. And basically what they did, Russia was lazy and weak up to 10 or 15 years ago. They used to buy everything from the West. And one of the best stories I heard was, gas turbines.
Yeah.
The spinny bit in the middle of the gas turbines. Well, apparently they're really complicated to make. So Russia just used to buy them from America and Britain.
Right.
So when the sanctions came in 10 years ago, we wouldn't sell them any gas turbines. Well, these turbines wear out. So Russia's like pulling its hair out, going like, what the hell we're going to do? We're going to run out. We're not going to have any turbines. So everyone went, well, we'll make our own. We've got enough materials. We've got enough manpower. We've got enough brains. We've definitely got enough land. So they started making their own turbines. But what they've discovered, what Russia has discovered, is that what they were buying from the West is shit. It was overpriced. It was overpriced shit is what they were buying. So they started making their gas turbines, and their gas turbines are better than our gas turbines, and they're cheaper than our gas turbines. So now everyone, the rest of the world, 80% of the planet that's still doing business with Russia, Russia's doing booming trade in gas turbines with the rest of the planet. While we're saying, no, we're not selling you any. We're not selling you any. We'll rather shoot ourselves in the foot than sell something to Russia. But then if you look at the Ukraine conflict, when it first started, the Russian people themselves said they were shitting themselves when it first having to go to war with NATO, because they'd spent decade after decade after decade being told how wonderful America is, how big and brilliant our aircraft carriers and our wonderful, big, beautiful aircraft carriers, our big, beautiful guns, our big, beautiful bombs. We've got the best and the fast and the loudest. Well, it turned out that they didn't. And what NATO had was overhyped, very expensive shit. And they'd, from Iraq, from the early 90s, they'd lived on producing very expensive, not very good military hardware. But it had never been tested. So come the Ukraine war now this stuff that they've built, all these Javelins and these Patriot missiles and these F-35s, F-14s, F-18s, whatever, now they're actually having to put them into a battlefield scenario. They're suddenly finding out that they don't work in real life. And the whole war, how you fight a war, isn't the same today as it was in Iraq.
Yeah.
They put an America sent all these Abrams tanks. We've got the best, most beautiful tanks on the planet. They will wipe everyone off the planet. They're £6 million a pop. We're going to send 20 of them to Ukraine, and they're going to defeat Russia. Well, I don't know if you've seen a video of it, because as soon as one of these M1 tanks turned up on the front line, £6 million tank, what you had was a £1,000 drone with a bomb duct tape to the bottom of it. It flies up to this tank, and it's looking around this tank. Now, a tank is driven by the back wheels on the tracks. And it looks at the back wheel. It flies up to the back wheel, flies straight into the back wheel, explodes, blows the wheel off. So then you've got this other drone that's higher up, filming all this. Next thing you know, you see all these Ukrainian soldiers climbing out of this tank and walking off back to the front line. 5 minutes later, a Russian tank pulls up, chains up the Abrams M1, and drives off with it. So you've got state-of-the-art, world-beating tank that America has just given to Ukraine with all its modern technology, all its shells, all the rest of it, and you've just literally given it to Russia for £1,000. Because that's what they're doing. They're just building millions of drones. And it's all just drone warfare today. If you turned up, people think, oh, remember Iraq when we put 100 tanks straight across the desert and we took Iraq in 3 days. Right, well, you stick 100 tanks across the front of the Ukraine and they won't last 1 day. Because drones will just take them all out in a day. No problem. Yeah. So America and the West and NATO are still fighting this war from 30 years ago. And this is why they're literally having their asses handed to them on a plate. In fact, probably 50% of the weaponry that Russia has built up, it's not even deployed it yet. It's still sat on it. It's not even seen the battlefield yet. So, you've heard of, obviously you've heard of the New World Order and Agenda 2030 and blah, blah, blah. Well, from what I've been seeing from the Ukraine and going back, I mean, they first started planning Ukraine in 1995.
Right.
because again, they had the same plan as Napoleon and the same plan as Hitler. Go to war with Russia, defeat a weak Russian army, drive to Moscow, get them to surrender, take over the country. That was the plan. That was Napoleon's plan. That was Hitler's plan. That was NATO's plan in 1995. So they started building up the Ukrainian army from 1995 to 2014. It was the biggest army in Europe. It was massive, well-trained, fully funded, fully armed by NATO. All they had to do was just go kick in the door, defeat a weak Russian army, and go to Moscow. That was all they had to do in 2014. Unfortunately, again, they forget to take into consideration that what happens if the Russians object to that? They don't think, what happens if Russia might not go along with your plan? What happens if they've got some missiles of their own that might just hit you back? Well, Napoleon didn't think of it. Hitler didn't think of it.
No.
NATO didn't think of it, because from 2014 to 2022, Ukraine absolutely have their arses handed to them on a plate, to the point by 2022 that they were begging for peace. And it was only Boris Johnson offering Zelensky £100 billion to not sign the Turkish peace accords and to go and attack Russia. I mean, by that time, Russia had already signed the peace accords. Half of the troops were already at home, sat at home with their feet up. The other half of the troops were already pulling back to the defensive lines. And then the entire Ukrainian army suddenly attacked them, even after they'd signed the peace deal.
It's disgraceful.
Well, I say it was just, again, the stab in the back. They've done it 2 or 3 times. This is why Putin now will not sign a ceasefire. Because all you'll do is just rearm and then start it over again. So we're not having a ceasefire. You can have peace or nothing. Which one do you want? But we're not having a ceasefire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I say, all I've seen Putin do is NATO has thrown everything they can at Russia, literally everything. And Russia's held them off with one hand. I mean, they've been fighting them with 350,000 troops. Russia today has 2 million troops. And they've been fighting Ukraine with 350,000 of them. They could roll over Ukraine within a week if they'd wanted to. And then if they start these Oreshniks that they've got and some of these other hypersonic missiles, I mean, what's fascinating to me is all these attacks that we've been carrying out on Russia. It's shocking how patient Putin has been. I mean, only last week, you know, the attack that they carried out tried to attack Putin in his house. I
didn't see that, no.
Yeah, it was just after Christmas, a couple of days after Christmas. They launched 90-odd drones because it was the day that Trump, even CIA have admitted that they did it.
Right.
Trump was having a meeting with Zelensky, and just before the talk, he talked to Putin. And Trump said to Putin, stay where you are. As soon as I've finished with this meeting with Zelensky, I'll give you a ring back. Well, Putin was at home. Yeah, all right. So Putin, yeah, all right, no problem. I'll talk to you in a couple of hours. An hour later, they now know it was the CIA that did it with Ukraine. They launched a 90-drone attack on Putin's house because they knew Putin was there. But Trump told them he was there. So Trump actually tried to have Putin assassinated.
That's going to go down well, then, isn't it?
Yeah, but the problem is that Putin's house, you know what NORAD is? It's like the nuclear central command in America. Yeah. Well, that's Putin's house. Putin's house is NORAD.
Right.
So under Russian doctrine, that was an attack by a nuclear country against Russia's first line of nuclear defense. So where you hear this word special military operation in the Ukraine, which is what Russia call it, which is all they have been calling it, just just like something going on the side. Well, under Russian doctrine now, because they've had an attack on their first line of nuclear defense, the day after, it went to the Russian government, and it's not called a special military operation anymore. It is now a war. Russia now call it a war. But because Putin is he a barrister or a solicitor? He's very much in on words and the meanings of words. So now it's not a special military operation. It is now a war. The problem is Russia has hypersonic missiles that we don't have. And it would take and Oreshnik 17 minutes to fly from Russia to London. So when last year we carried out, MI6 carried out an attack on the Russian bomber force, they're called the White Swans.
Yeah.
They carried a drone attack on all these bomber forces. Well, apparently that was MI6. Well, technically that was a declaration of war by Starmer. And Oreshnik could take out any building that you can think of. It's non-nuclear, and it can take out any building that you can think of in 17 minutes.
Mm.
And Starmer is trying to declare war on Russia. Really?
Yeah. And they're trying to
Come up with that.
And they're trying to conscript all the kids while they're at it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen either, because no one wants to go.
No, exactly.
Anyway, so that's why the West or the Vatican has been attacking Russia predominantly for the last 400 years because of Russian Orthodox Christianity, because that's the only place where Russian Orthodox Christianity survives today.
Yeah.
And when you hear of the New World Order and it's one world religion, well, like, which religion? Because you're not going to destroy Russian Orthodox Christianity. So unless the one world religion is Russian Orthodox Christianity, then the New World Order is flat on its arse, because you're not going to defeat Russia.
Interesting, this, Neil. Yeah.
So that's a brief outline of who, what, how, why, where, when. But as I say, there's that much of it. How did Michael Sarian said, it was that the quality, and there's that much information. He said it's like sticking your hand into a jar full of glitter and then trying to wipe it all off. And then going around the world trying to wipe it all off. All you do is leave evidence literally everywhere you go. And once you know what you're looking for, like I was saying before about Quetzalcoatl, it took me less than 5 minutes to decipher to see Quetzalcoatl and then decipher it. And yet I've been looking at the word Quetzalcoatl for the last 50 odd years.
So what are they gaining from this then, Neil? I mean, I know we're getting people are under control and everything else, but this has been going on a very, very long time. And is it purely to stop people recognizing or remembering who they truly are? Is that what this whole thing's about?
I think the elites, whatever word you want to use about them. So I've said this to Garley a few times. I think they've forgotten. I think they've forgotten about who they are. I think they've forgotten. I think they do think that they're the 24 chromosomes. I think because when they are still using 666, when they are still using Satan, when they are still using the 5-pointed star, you use them all out of context. And the words that you're using are wrong.
Yeah.
I think that they've spent that long trying to bury their own history so nobody finds it. Personally, I think they buried it from themselves. And you've had that many incarnations, because as Carly once said, you only need to change 25% of something so it's not patent, to get around patent laws. So how many times are you going to take a religion and change 25% of it for it then to become your religion or your mystery school? How many? And then once you've changed 25, how much of the truth is actually left?
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact Freemasonry was created in Ireland thousands of years ago. And we know this because the Tuatha De Danann, who I mentioned before, their Freemason was called Goban Soir. Now, I don't know if you know much about the Masons. They have a secret language called the Bela Laguerre.
I didn't know that. Right, okay.
Yeah, they have a secret language. It's only spoken by two people. It's spoken by the Freemasons and Irish Tinkers. Weirdly. Well, it was Goban Soir, the Tuatha De Danann's Freemason. He wrote the Bela Laguerre. And the Tuatha De Danann, you can have two dates, 3,500 years ago when they were in Ireland, or they were also supposed to have built Newgrange 5,500 years ago. So either way, this Goban Soir is thousands and thousands of years old. But if you look at Freemasonry, they tell you it's created in a pub in London in 1717. We go, well, that's not even possible. Because when you start looking at, They believe Hiram Abiff built the temple
Yeah.
in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at that, hold on a minute. Hiram Abiff was a Phoenician. The Phoenicians are the Irish Phoenicians.
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalem is Edinburgh. So Hiram Abiff was an Irish Fenian who built the temple in Edinburgh. But you won't find that out at any Masonic lodge.
No.
They're still out in the Middle East. They're kissing some wall out in the Middle East, thinking Jerusalem's out there, and Hiram Abiff was some Middle Eastern sailor.
It's all Babylon and Boaz and Jachin and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, when you start breaking all that stuff down, I mean, the Eye of Providence is Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
The all-seeing eye, the Eye of Horus, is Sirius. So when you start looking at pictures, occult pictures, when you see an eye and you see all these lines coming down to Earth, basically that's the ethereal energies coming from Sirius when it actually goes through the sun. The sun's like a magnifying glass. I keep saying it's like a crystal ball. It's not a ball of fire. It's more of like a lens. So
for Sirius.
Yeah, well, the Sirius and our sun are binary partners.
Right.
They form the Vesica Pisces.
Yeah.
They form a Vesica Pisces like this. They come close like that.
Right.
The orbits of Sirius and the sun are coming and going all the time. So the energy that comes from Sirius, because Sirius is 27 times hotter than our sun, basically comes to the sun, through the sun, and down to Earth.
Right.
The sun is more like a portal than it's not a big ball of fire. It's more like a portal for the energy, and this is what they call the light, or chi, or force, or dark energy. There's a million different names for it. The veil. So the higher the energies, the thinner the veil, and the higher the energies, the more pure your pineal gland is, so you can then see through the veil and you can interact with entities on the other side of the veil. But like I say, Sirius is only just gone around the corner to start coming back to us. So we're lowest of the low. We're fallen of the fallen. We're properly bottom of the barrel right at the moment.
Yeah, I can tell.
Well, if you want to come back in a couple of thousand years, the energy levels will be rising again as Sirius starts coming back towards us. So
why so serious, Neil? Why so serious?
Yeah, so many cliches on that one.
I know. Well, it's the clown thing. I've seen that as well. That you put stuff out on the Nephilim and the clown, and then that's why I thought, why so serious? Because it's the Joker, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, it's sort of once you get a concept of Ireland and all these stories coming from Ireland, or Britain. I said the deities come from Ireland, the place names come from Britain.
Yeah.
But even then, if you what was the channel called? Britain's Hidden History. There's one on there that talks about Troy, the Trojan Wars. Well, apparently the Trojan Wars all took place out by the Wash, out near Cambridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Homer, when he went on his trip, apparently that was up to North Scotland and out to the Shetlands and the Orkneys. So again, you see all these stories, and we're told all these stories, and they're all happening out in the Middle East, and it's all really interesting happening out in the Middle East. But then when you actually scratch under the surface, half these stories are all come from Britain.
See, people don't realise what this place is that we're living in the UK, do we?
I haven't got a clue. I was on a job down in Manchester a few weeks ago. I was working for some Jews. I said, "Do you know where the Holy Land is?" "Oh yeah, I know where it is." I said, "Where is it?" Celtic Middle East, he said, Israel, I thought you stood on it. Spent the next 15 minutes destroying his, just tearing everything he thought he knew. He was saying that this is the Holy Land, this is the land of milk and honey. Edinburgh was Jerusalem. This is why you have your Sabbath on Saturday because it's Saturn's there. His world just collapsed.
That's a red pill to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a really big pill to swallow, but I'd never actually talked to an out-and-out proper Jew with all hair and black and rigmarole and all the rest of it. I've never actually talked to one before. Let's just say how he takes it.
It was your opportunity, was it?
I wanted to see how he reacted, to be honest with you. I knew that, probably 99% of everything I said was going to go straight over his head until you start it's like you could see it going in, little bits of it. And I guarantee you, he went home that night just to see if it was the Irish Fenians that deified Israel as Saturn, because that explains why they have the Sabbath on Saturn Day, because they think it's just the 6th. They think the Saturn Day is the last day of the week, and Sunday is the first day. So Saturday is the day of rest. That is why they have their Sabbath. That is their explanation for it. So he gave me that explanation. I was no, it's because Israel was deified as Saturn, and that's why they have Saturn's Day. And you're actually worshipping Israel on Saturday. But I can guarantee he went home and researched it.
I'm sure he did.
This is why I do this. It's like someone will pick up on something and go, I thought I knew that, but I didn't.
I think there's a lot to be said about that. We have deep knowledge within us. So that when you have resonation, when something resonates with you, then you might think, there's something in that.
If there's one word that I've heard in the last few years, it's that resonate. Because there's so many people I talk to, I say this will sound mad when I first start talking, but something will resonate. Something will make you carry on listening because you know that
there's something in it.
There's something there that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah. And
then when you can start bringing in words that they are already fluent with, that's like Britain. I mean, that's pretty smoking gun that BRIT-TAIN translates to people of the covenant when you're trying to tell them that the Bible came from Britain.
Yeah.
Or if you can pull up a map and show them that Joppa is that far from Edinburgh. And then show them in the Bible what it says about Joppa and having these women walking backwards and forwards carrying this fish. And you're just going like, is Joppa in the Middle East? It's 30 miles away. Are they walking 30 miles through a desert or 2 miles up Fisherman's Way?
Can I ask you a bit more about Sirius, Neil? Because I'm really intrigued by this. So this is sun worship in itself then, really?
No. Right. Sun worship is a description of a physical object for them to put credence into.
Okay.
What it is that a better description would be energy worship.
Okay.
Sun worship, what they're worshipping is this energy, this ethereal energy.
Yeah.
That's what they're worshipping, the energy.
But do people know that they're doing this? I mean, this is like you mentioned that Sirius has so many names across cultures. I mean, I've listened to some of your talks, and it's like, how do you know all these names are Sirius? I mean, this must have taken you forever to connect these dots.
Yeah, no, it's like I say, once you know what you're looking for,
right?
It's not that difficult. I mean, here's a good one for you. Right, Sirius rises. Sirius, one of Sirius's names is the Phoenix.
Yeah.
It dies below the horizon for 77 days, which is in the occult why we get number 77 from.
Right.
Now, in Egypt, it rises again on the 4th of July, on the morning of the 4th of July in the east. Now, that date marks the start of the Nile's flooding season.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Egypt, that's when that's when the planting season starts, the harvesting season, when the Nile floods.
Right.
And the 4th of July, this date that Sirius is reborn above the horizon in the east, that date marks the start of Egypt's fertility season. So this is when Sirius gets its fertility names from, the fertility aspect of Sirius.
Yeah.
So you get Isis, Sopdet, Mother Mary, Ishtar, names like that. They are all just from different cultures. They're just fertility goddesses, and they all represent Sirius.
Right.
One of the funniest ones actually is Venus, because if I said Venus is Sirius and Lucifer is Sirius,
The morning star.
go, oh no, Lucifer, the morning star, that's the planet Venus. No, it's called the morning star because Sirius rises on the 4th of July in the morning. It rises in the east, so it's called the Eastern Star. And where you get, it's called Lucifer because it's 27 times brighter than our sun, and it's called Sirius the light bearer, and Lucifer the light bearer because it's so fucking bright. That's where the name Lucifer comes from. But the name Venus comes from the Roman fertility goddess Venus, not the planet Venus. So when they're talking about the morning star, Lucifer, and Venus, they're talking about the Roman fertility goddess Venus, not the planet Venus.
And I think I heard you mention something about the Statue of Liberty as well. That if it's facing east, is that right?
It's facing east. It's got a male-female aspect to it because, like I say, 1 minute Sirius is the Mother Mary and Ishtar, and the next minute is Lucifer and Satan. Yeah. So it's got this. Sirius has this duality about it. Yeah. That's why this is why they get mixed up with some of their gods, because the Greek priests used to chop the balls off and used to walk around wearing dresses all day, hermaphrodites, thinking that their god was a hermaphrodite. Well, their god is Sirius, and it's a hermaphrodite because it's got female aspects and male aspects to it. Right. So the aspects of Sirius are hermaphrodites, but they think their gods are half hermaphrodites. So they chop the balls off and dress like women, and this is going through to today. This is why I said they forgot that this hermaphrodite thing, this male-female swapping over, doesn't come from any god. It's just because that Sirius has a male and female aspect to it.
And the 4th of July, then, obviously is used very importantly in America as a day.
Well, you've got the 4th of July. What I just noticed last night, 4th of July in America, a tradition is to eat a hot dog.
Is it really?
It's the dog star.
The dog star?
Yeah. Yeah, well, more importantly in America, I say the 4th of July is important because that's the Independence Day, and Statue of Liberty has a book in her hand dated the 4th of July. But more importantly in America is the 8th of August, because the 4th of July refers to Egypt when Sirius rises again after 77 days of being dead. It rises again on the 4th of July in Egypt. Now in America, it rises on the 8th of August, which is the 8th of the 8th, 88. You must have seen 88 with Trump.
Well, yeah, but the 8th and the 8, it's a Lionsgate thing, that isn't it? That's into the veil, isn't it? The
Lionsgate portal, when Earth, Sirius, and the Sun form a direct line.
Okay.
And so the energy just comes straight through the Sun. It doesn't have to veer off at strange angles.
Oh, right.
Sirius, the Sun, and Earth all form a straight line on the 8th of the 8th. That's
so
why
interesting.
That's where you get the 88 from in the occult. You see 88, and all they're talking about is the Lionsgate portal, the 8th of August, when Sirius rises again, or the Phoenix.
That's so interesting. People have no idea, have they?
Yeah, but it's so simple when you, like I said, if you know what you're looking for, it's actually so simple. Like you just said, the Statue of Liberty. The crown she's got on her head has 7 spikes, and Sirius is called the 7th heavenly star, and the torch she's got in her hand is Loka Brenna, the torture of Loki. And the torture of Loki is another name for Sirius. So the name Loki comes from Sirius.
So Sirius, sorry, Neil, Sirius then obviously has major importance and influence on everything on this planet then.
Yeah, it's the most important star in the sky.
More so
more important than the sun, to be honest. Because
well, that's what I'm just going to say, more so than the sun itself.
I'd say so, because I'd say if you turn Sirius off, the sun will go out. I don't think the sun is a ball of fire. I think it's just like a crystal ball.
Yeah, like the lens, because I mean that would open up questions about what the moon is as well. Then I mean, which is another.
Well, apparently the moon's just plasma anyway. If you look at that.
But it's fascinating, isn't it? That and in terms of the movement of Sirius, then that affects us. That's why we've had floods.
Oh, and then some. Like I say, this is a 24,000 year cycle.
Okay.
So time isn't longevity. It's a cycle of 24,000 years over and over and over again. So if you went back 24,000 years, you and me would probably still be sat here 24,000 years ago. We'd be at the same point, going up and down, up and down, up and down. We didn't start like 1 million years ago or 100 million years ago and then work through evolution in one timeline. We go through a cycle of 24,000 years of going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's why they're talking the Indians when they're talking about the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and the Bronze Age. And it's a cycle of just going round and round and round. Well, right now we're in the Mud Age.
But seems that way. Definitely seems that way.
Well, again, it's just when you start looking back, and especially when you look at Tartaria, what we used to be able to do.
I know.
Compared to what we do now. I mean, I work on building sites, and I work in some of these old buildings. And you can spend days just looking around and just going, how the hell did you do that? you can't do it. The questions that you ask, you can't come up with answers for. I did, these big old Victorian mills, the big red brick mills. Yeah. We did a conversion on one of them down in Lee about 5 years ago. So obviously I'm more interested in the mill than doing any work inside it. But just to give you a clue, I mean, these mills are everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you date them, they all seem to be built in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Now, what they've done on this one that we've been working on, because we were changing it into living accommodation, they had to put a fire escape outside from the top floor straight down. So they had to drill through the wall to put a door in. The walls of those buildings are 6 courses of brick thick. I'm not kidding. The wall is that thick.
Yeah, yeah.
6 courses of brick. And they had to get, do you know core drill, diamond core drill?
Yeah.
They had to get a diamond core drill on a level. So they had to get, it was on this frame.
Yeah.
And then they had to chain drill it through 6 courses of brick with a hole sort of about that size.
God.
And chain drill it all the way around for this door.
Wow.
Because they couldn't knock through the wall. They had to chain drill it. It took them about a month just to chain through these bricks, just to knock out, to put a doorway in so they could put a fire door in. And again, we're down to the basement. And you know, when you see on a lot of Tartarian videos, and on the ground, there's like half a window.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this place was like that with half windows. So we went down, you could go into the cellar. And I went down to have a look in the inside. Is it just half a window at the top? Or is it a full window bricked up halfway?
Yeah.
It's a full window bricked up halfway. It's not just a little window at the top of footpath, because, like I say, you all the way down, you could see all these windows, and they were all full windows, bricked up halfway, and a bit of glass in the top.
It's mad, isn't it, Neil?
So that's what
I remember as a kid, me being with my mum in Bolton and looking down at these grids and seeing windows.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, and as a kid thinking, why would you have windows down there? What is the point in that?
Why would you have a window below road level? Would the water not just run straight into the window and flood the ground basement? It's like,
exactly.
But again, one thing that I have found that's good with AI, and one of the only things that I found good with AI, is translations. If you do any work on Tartaria, I would highly recommend getting some old Russian history books and getting AI to do a translation on them.
Oh, cool. What a good idea. Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, the Russian version of history is not what you're taught.
Oh, I can imagine it's not.
Well, just one really, really easy one. 1812, Napoleon. Napoleon went in and he got his grand army, biggest army that ever been brought together, and he went in, he fought the Russians in Moscow, he got defeated, and then he's had his ass kicked and went back to France, very roughly. Yeah, that's not what the Russian history books say. If you look at old maps of Russia, Russia was really small. It was up by St. Petersburg. It was the Grand Tartarians that controlled Moscow. And if you look at the Russian history books, Napoleon fought with the Russians. The Russians fought with Russians and Napoleon were on the same side fighting against Grand Tartaria.
God.
And that was when we call the First World War, that's what they call the First World War. They call this battle between Russia, Napoleon, and Grand Tartaria, they call it the First Patriotic War. They call the First World War, they call the First World War the Second Patriotic War.
Right.
Because it was Napoleon and Russia fighting against Grand Tartaria. That's what the Russian history books say.
Interesting.
But I guarantee if you went and took an A-level history and you wrote that down in an A-level history,
no, you'll fail.
You'd lose. You'd fail miserably.
You would fail for sure. Neil, there's so much we can get into, and we're going to have to do this again.
I'm starting to get that feeling.
There's just so much. There's so much. Just stepping back from the myths and the stars and everything else, what do you think all of this says about the purpose of being human then? What are we here for?
To die.
Well, yeah.
What is it? Born, pay taxes and die.
Yeah.
It's really difficult because, like I say, I think we're the 23 pairs of chromosomes. I think we're the twin. I think we are the hybrids. You know what I was saying before about Christianity being taken from Ireland to Rome. Well, the actual religion in Ireland was called the Irish Church of Iesu Christos.
Right.
So we've got Iesu Christos. Now, Iesu Christos, Iesu, is a sun god. It's an Irish sun god.
Right.
If you take out Google Translate and you put in the word Iesu, I-E-S-A, and translate it from Irish to English, you get the word Jesus.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that one. So the whole, we are here as angelic beings, we are here as part of something else, I don't think so. I think we're just, the more I look, the more I think about it, I think we're just bacteria.
Right.
There's an amazing, have you seen Westworld?
Yeah. Very Gnostic. It's great.
Oh yeah, it was all Gnosticism.
Yeah.
Total Gnosticism.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, remember in one of them where the man in black, and it was, I think it was like the fourth series, one towards the end, when he was sat in a psychiatrist and there were like 6 versions of him. And there was
I only watched the first 2 seasons, to be honest.
Oh, he had only got better, to be honest.
Right, did it? Right.
Brilliant. Yeah. And you can look it up on YouTube. It's like the man in black and he's at the psychiatrist and someone says, what's the meaning of life? And he was basically saying that we live on a husk of a planet and all we're here to do is rape and pillage the planet. kill everything in sight, and then basically die and leave the planet to die. And I was wetting myself because it's like that just nails what I think about what human life is. I think if we were here to do more than what we are here to do, we wouldn't do what we do today. We can't claim some kind of higher calling when you just take one look at outside of what normal society is like and saying, who is here trying to make the world a better place? Who's trying to make anything a better place? All it is materialism, ego, self, me. And like I said, I see that right across society, and it doesn't matter where you look, whether you're looking at your neighbours down the road, whether you're looking at police, whether you're looking at councillors, governments, countries, they're all the same. I think we're here to exist until we can get through the next 2,000 to 3,000 years, when we can get a point where we get beyond the ego, the self, the materialism. We will go back beyond that again. It's just that we've dipped into it. We have to go back. We'll say as the energy levels rise, as we get bigger, as our pineal glands get bigger, because I think we used to be able to communicate through telekinesis.
I'm sure we did.
There's loads and loads of films that play on the whole communication through telekinetics. And one of them was Three-Body Problem. When because I think the Three-Body Problem is based on Sirius, because I think that's Sirius A, B, and C, where we have some people coming to invade the Earth, but they're not going to be here for another 400 years, and we've got it ready for them. But they communicated through telekinesis. But if you think about it, you can't lie. Nobody can lie.
No.
Because everyone would know you were lying. So what society will we have if there were no lies? If everyone could communicate by thought and there were no lies and nobody could lie, there wouldn't be any lies, and all everyone would ever do is try to work for the betterment of everything. Because if you weren't, everyone else would know about it.
I could twist this into the thought police and the transhumanism agenda now, but I've not got the time for it. So, you know,
that's going to come and it's going to go. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen. It doesn't. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. If you look at what Zionism is, this is more terrifying. The word Zionism is probably the most terrifying word on the planet at the moment, because that comes from Frankism, and Frankism comes from Sabbatism, and what they believe is creating hell on earth. What they want to do is create as much misery, as much death, as much pain, rape, robbery. The more that of hell they can create, they think they are bringing about. Again, they think that they are bringing about the tribulation. The returning of Jesus. So they think they're doing God's work by raping some kids or murdering shitloads of Palestinians. But again, what I was saying before, the tribulation, Satan coming back and killing all the people on the planet, that's serious coming back. It's an astrotheological event. It's a naturally occurring event. And what they've done is read in the Bible, tribulation. If we bring about the tribulation, then Jesus will return. So we'll bring about the tribulation without knowing that it's just a bloody story. It's actually based on astrotheology, and you're going to have to wait another 12,000 years for Sirius to return anyway. So you can kill everyone on the planet today if you want. You're still going to have to wait 12,000 years. So that's what I say. This whole taking religion literally, word for word, and then using the Bible as an explanation for what you see is ridiculous. You might as well pick up Wizard of Oz as your explanation of stuff, because it's still a book of fiction. And without knowing the true meaning of the stories behind the stories, and even realizing that they are stories, how can you then move forward? I can't talk to religious people because they're that fixated on what they're saying as being literally true.
Oh yeah, I've had loads of run-ins.
If there's someone once taught me He said, and this was about 5 years ago with vaccines and lockdowns and stuff. He said, pick your fights. I could go out and have 1,000 fights a day.
Oh, I know. But you've only got so much energy in the day as well.
Yeah, but it's like, I've walked away from arguments and discussions and debates now because you just know it's pointless. So
I know.
Why would I even debate you? Why would I even talk to you? Why would I even give you time? Whereas, like, if I went back 5 or 10 years, I'd be snapping the head off and trying to yeah, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? But it's like, no, you're right, Max. Take your fights. You can waste so much time and energy on pointless fights. And even if you know that you're 100% true, it's pointless arguing with somebody because they are that.
Oh, no. It's cognitive dissonance. We're back to the same thing. It's never left. It's always been there. It's not going anywhere.
I'll give it another 2,000 years, it'll be gone.
Well, hopefully, Neil, we'll have this discussion in 2,000 years.
Luckily, I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, me too.
I keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So if I come back, give it another 20 cycles.
Yeah. No,
I've got enough.
I believe that as well. I don't think energy dies. I think
can't die.
Exactly.
Can't die.
The Anthony Critchley, the ego and the character that I'm playing, the avatar that I'm playing now will go, but the essence will carry on.
Again, you only go into the energy that's surrounding you because this is heaven. You're in heaven.
Exactly.
This is heaven. You just can't see it because your pineal gland's all screwed up and the energy levels are at the bottom. But when we die and the energy is released from your body, it goes there. There isn't like going up to the clouds, a heaven up there and a hell down there. This is heaven and this is hell. There are entities living right next to you.
Agreed. Yeah.
You can only see less than 5% of all the energies that are around
that's
you.
It. A very narrow band of frequency that we're operating in.
But again, I think these two things here, I think they're just there for safety. I don't think they're there to see, because you've got your ears, which show you direction of a noise. Your two eyes are there to show you distance to something. But I think that's all your eyes and your ears are for. What you should be seeing is that. You should be looking through that. Yeah. That. When you look through that, then you'll be able to see 100% of everything that's around you. Right now, using them, you can only see 5% of everything that's around you.
Yeah, I love that, Neil. I love that. On close, where can people? I know you've got a really good YouTube channel. Can you let people know how to access it? I mean, obviously, I will put it in the show notes below. But if you can let people know what the title of your channel is, if anyone wants to be able to get hold of you, how would they get hold of you? And what kind of videos will they find on your channel?
It's only quite. I think I'm only up to about 20 videos so far. I do a lot of breaking words down. So when it's like the Saturn thing, when you start going to all the things there are to talk about Saturn, or all the things there are to talk about Satan, I've got loads of talks, shitloads of talks all put together on notes that I just can't be bothered getting around to budding out. I did a long one, which was just short of 4 hours on Sirius, on all the different names of Sirius, the explanation behind all the names. And then the second part is where you see Sirius around you every day, like the Statue of Liberty, the $1 bill, blah, blah, blah. So that was about 4 hours. I did one about 4 hours, which is basically what I've just done now, is just run through all these different names of the people, where they went. Just a quick run through that. I think that took about 3.5 hours. But more recently, I've just been kind of putting something like 15-minute videos out on like Zion or Zionists. You keep hearing the word Zionists, but does anyone know what a Zionist is?
I'm going to check that out. I'm very intrigued.
Does anyone know where the word? Because first we explain what a Zionist is, how it comes from Sabbateanism.
Yeah.
But then we go back to Britain and go, this is the root of the word Zion. because that she is Queen Zion. She gave her name to the River Shannon, and then later gave her name to Zion is also Edinburgh, Jerusalem. But then it also then comes back to the Isle of Man and the Isle of Apples and the Garden of Eden. So then it's like this is the word. This is what it means in the circus version of events.
Yeah.
And then this is what the word means in the Irish cipher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of thing. So like I said, you take the word Zion, I'll give you an explanation of where the word Zionists come from, what it means out in the real world, and then bringing it back to Britain and saying this is where, because when they change the word, they change the letters. So Z is an S.
Right.
So it's really Sion, not Zion. And Sion comes from Queen Simon. So then you can work out, when you're changing these letters back, you can then work out what the word really is and what the root of that word really is. So that's the explanation of kind of the work I'm doing at the moment.
Cool.
They've just allowed me back on Facebook after 300 days. I had a 300-day ban. All I did was say the Israelites came from Britain on an Israeli page.
Oh dear!
So I got a 300-day ban for that. So I've had to restart my Ireland page on Facebook. But my YouTube channel, which is probably one of the only accesses events I've got for my stuff, that's called Islands Aryans.
Okay.
So you've got Islands, IRELANDS, Islands, one word. Then you've got Aryans. Now, I didn't want to go spelling it ARYANS, because if I did that, YouTube would have slapped me for that.
Yeah, they know.
Ireland is called Air, EIRE.
Yeah.
So I called it Aryans, EIREIANS.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Aryans. So, like, again, I'm playing with their words now.
Perfect.
So YouTube and Facebook is both of them are called Islands Aryans.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure the links are in the show notes, and thoroughly enjoyed this, Neil. I've learned a lot, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the only reason I'm doing it is to hopefully save someone else 10 years of research, or if they see a word themselves now, or hopefully from this point on, if you ever see 666 or anyone going like that, you know it's bollocks. Anyone going like this shit. It's, he's part of the club. It's 666. It's the LC&I. When you go, well, what does 666 mean? What does the LC&I mean? Don't know. That's the point that you need to take on. And really weird. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself, because when I fell into this, I mean, I was a bit of a muppet, and I was shocked how quickly it took me to learn that the eye of providence is another name for Sirius. When I actually went looking for it, it took me 5 minutes to find. And yet I've been looking at the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence, the eye of Horus for the last 20 years of my research. And then when I actually started looking at it, it took me about 5 minutes to find. The eye of providence is Sirius. Well,
you're here to spread the news, Neil. So thank you so much for all the research you do, and keep doing it.
It's the research that I like. It's this shit that I don't.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your time, Neil. I really do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a bit of a vent.